Yeah, man. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We've got Tim coming back again. I appreciate you coming back on. What's
Hey, guy.
what's going on, man, out there in Oregon?
Yeah, it's start of spring. It's a beautiful day. I got a lot of therapy that I engage in throughout the day. I'm usually reading, writing, and doing music is sort of in my triple threat to endure these lakes of fire in body and mind.
Right.
And I'm in an outpatient facility. My patient staff has been understanding, like I explained to them what is termed satanic misdirection and how this shit works. EMF perpetrators fake the form of people close to me in my life. Unless they acknowledge that they're an EMF perp, faking somebody close to me, I would never know. The tech is so deceptive.
It really
In a
is.
repeating pattern of a failed Zug streak, like I've gone to LA to see my aunt, my wonderful parents used to live in Westland, Oregon, all over the fucking country, they keep doing the same technique where for moments, like they're taking on the form of people in the seeming physical world around me. And it's not the real humans. They're faking the form of something that's familiar. So sorry for being long-winded in this, but like an example is that I have real mammal staff that work here that aren't electromagnetic form perping like you described. And their form for moments will be taken by an EMF perp that's just like impersonating Dave. And he'll say and do something horrible, usually 6 to 8 words, very few words often, as they're called satanic repeaters and suggesters, but they'll just fake the form people close to me so I get in a fight with a real person. It may sound benign or otherwise not very much lethal potentially in the way that I describe it, but let me give you an example. And they shut it down on social media. It looked like through the information channels I was getting, it was a local boy. He had a mom and a dad that unfortunately in the press said that he took the life of. And in the press, he was talking about how, by his perception, by his brain, his parents would not stop talking in his head telepathically. And this is what I like almost instantly deduced, not being a detective for the state police, but based on our experiences and my experience as well, corroborated by your testimony. The kid was getting electromagnetic form perpetrated by somebody who had his and his mom's RNM. They faked her voice in his head, tortured him to the point of inflicting lethal harm on his mom and his dad. He's now up for probably prison for the rest of his life. His parents are dead, and there's an electromagnetic form perpetrator gang probably having a pizza party someplace, having carried out the hit on that kid and his family, and that's called satanic misdirection. And the death I would call satanic slingshot. But the stuff we're describing is no laughing matter. I mean, I'm in an outpatient mental health facility in Hillsborough, and it's relatively low key. They've tried to kill me here before. I've been in psych wards in Washington State, Utah, California, Nevada, and it's so helped to harm for TIs like us at those facilities. Like this really is the V system. Like those EMF perpetrators that are responsible for September the 11th potentially fucking show up to those places just to kick me over the edge. Like it's been rough, dude. And they went in this huge false religion, trying to make me a false god route over these last 3 years of pretty live and intense psychological operations. I mean, they want to blame aliens. They want to blame this. They want to blame that. It's bullshit, dude. And I'm so glad that you've done this testimony and are seeking interviews from other TI. Stuff you disclosed, I had no idea about until you disclosed it. And I've been psychologically operationed on for 15 years. So I can't thank you enough, Kev.
Hey, no problem. That's not initially, that wasn't the plan, but when I realized that a lot of people had a lot of confusion about what was going on, then it kind of became one of my missions was to get the real truth out there, because it's just a nightmare, the propaganda out there. Everybody's saying everything, and it's reptilians and it's aliens and all sorts of things. And the pizza party that's going on, I've tried for a long time to understand these people and the things that they do and how they can get any pleasure out of destroying people or seeing people become killed or wrecking people's lives or anything like this. And the only thing that I've actually been able to conclude is that it's going to be impossible for somebody that's not evil to understand the mindset of an evil person.
They read our fucking thoughts, man, just to know how much effective their lies are at us. Like, let me drop this shit down.
That's exactly what they do.
Some advanced perping stories and this shit. So,
hey, this guy understands his stuff. This guy really does understand.
Dude, you got to check this shit out. This is a true story. Like, I'm in West Lynn. It's like this suburb. My parents live in there. Like, I'm so misled by these perps. They have me believing they've killed my real parents, replaced them with reptilian humanoids. And, like, I'm homeless in the town because, like, by set design, they won't let me live in the house. Like, shit's weird, man. And, like, I'm sleeping under a bridge in West Lynn. And, like, EMF perps are faking the form of reptilian humanoids around me under this bridge that I call Troll Bridge. They were, like, EMF, like, jumping up in my, skipping the sphincter, jumping up into my rectum, like you talked about having a broadcast in your hindquarters.
Right.
Well, they were doing that to me, trying to drive, like, suicide. And, like, so I'm bouncing around the neighborhood. They would show up to the Westland Starbucks in mass, in, like, satanic mass, like the whole Starbucks. Even the staff were taken over by these gangs of stalkies. And it was like, they at one point, like, I'm still almost in Westland, like, wondering what the fuck's going on with the world, just my pity party on the West Coast. And they rented out, like, a small shop in Westland in this little town and totally threw like a pizza party. I mean, or like, I don't know, they had balloons and shit, but it was, like, at my expense. Like, I hadn't quite died yet, but they might have well just been playing that I was, like, dead anyways. It was bizarre. I mean, they really pulled out some of, like, the more obscene stops with this illusion that they were casting over me and Oregon. But the weird thing is that it kept following me, man. Like, those NSA flying monkeys, they call it, EMF perpetrators, like you described. Like, but it's so deceptive. If they don't tell you that they're an EMF perp or give a hint, like, I mean, they really can deceive me to pretend like they're my roommate or the staff at this nut house. But it's just another fucking EMF perp, dude. And I don't really have a Howard Circle to be like, well, they're right there. But you and I are so algebra, dude. Like me, a West Coast guy during this time, and you a TI in Georgia, like, we're same. And then more or less, I mean, it's really fucking complicated, but more or less all the perping going on around us, that's the same too, man. I mean, I don't have all the answers for this shit, but my shitstorm's been going on for 15 years. I'm talking because I met some of you guys on Instagram. I'm talking to this TI young, like, late 20-something. She's beautiful. She's their object of desire. Unfortunately, she's in Arizona talking about just getting perped for 2 months, and she's worried about V2K. And then some of the last communications I had with her, Kevin, was that she started hearing V2K. And this is in Arizona. This is somebody's kid.
Yeah.
She's worried about, like, perps moving into her upscale neighborhood. Her last boyfriend was allegedly a perpetrator. Like, of the research that I would have been able to do before they tried to, they haven't been able to successfully kill me, like, stop007.org out of a nuclear scientist out of Switzerland. Like,
right, she's a physicist or something.
Something like 70% of the TI are women. Like, if you love to torture, like, those that get into this $35 an hour thinking but they're really Satan business with the EMF gear because they got their headsets early, like, if you love to torture, they love to torture women, man. These are sick motherfuckers. Like,
they do. They love to torture people.
And somehow this is all kosher. Like, the shit that happened to me in Redmond, Oregon, and I've been doing sort of a recollection of this stuff. A lot of it's getting covered by my, perpetrators and shit like that. But I'm so proud of you in good ways. I'm so happy for your information distribution success. Obfuscation, it's been a while since I've used the word. That may be some of the tactics also to describe what's done to us individually as TI, like boilerplate shit. But I'm so happy that you've been able to get the word out to other TI and give them some peace of mind.
I appreciate that, and it seems like you're starting to do a good job at the same thing. I can tell that you understand what's going on. I can definitely tell that you understand better than most people what's going on, because there's a lot of confusion, you know, and they have such an advanced ability with the technology to lead people into believing the wrong thing. And like you said, they know what you think, and they love to see what they can feed you to you know, get your reaction. And it's so easy for them to mislead and confuse people because they know every thought that you have. So it seems like a lot of what they say is, you know, just trying to gauge what your reaction is so they can see what to say next.
Yeah, dude, they're reading our minds to figure out how to lie to us better, man. I mean, it's been crazy. Like for TIs out there, like I've tested the waters. Like, this is the B system. There's something about the airports, borders, and hospitals. If you're getting electromagnetic form perpetrated, and they got you on that B system list as a TI, like, those places are fucking dangerous and like hell to harm. Like, you got borders, airports, and hospitals, man. EMF Perps Central, that's Perfectopolis.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people that have been in airplanes, and the same thing can happen. And it doesn't matter where people travel to, the same thing can happen. There's no limitations to the broadcast capabilities. But you were talking about, you know, your roommate or the staff at the place and stuff like that, and that's what most people start to believe, is that it's something like that. And you know, in some cases it may be, but most cases it's not. And the telepathy can actually hijack somebody talking. I mean, you can have somebody standing across the room and it sound like they're saying something completely different than what they're saying. And then the noises on the walls and on the roof and everything else, it's so confusing. I'm really very lucky to be in a position to have this happen to me by people that were so negligent to be able to let me in on so many secrets and to be so close to me. So you know, that's where a lot of the things that I've learned have came from personal experience, and then just knowing who these people are. So it took me a while to put it all together, but and I'm sure there's still a few things, but for the most part, I understand this, and it seems like you do too. And so, you know, I feel like it's our job now to sway the rest of these people who think that it's aliens and the reptilians, because that's just not logical. The broadcast is advanced and it's very unbelievable, but at the same time, if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And this technology exists and is possible. And I don't believe reptilians and aliens are possible. But I did used to have a gang stalker on my channel that would broadcast as the Grinch. So I've seen it all with the broadcast stuff. I've seen the Grinch running around my backyard, a hologram of the Grinch. You know, and they want you to call the police and talk about that.
Okay. Jeez. So, like, some of it, like, and we need to continue these efforts at TI shielding, mitigation, disclosure, and whatnot. And I haven't been successful. I've barely logged into the dark web at all. Like, that wasn't my thing. But, you know, We're the generation that was born before the internet. Like, you know, for peace of mind, Kevin, like, you know, I've been dragging my feet and been procrastinating. Like, I made to live so I don't die, or like my quality of life isn't so destroyed every day. I'm still considering trying to track down the fucking headgear myself,
right?
Passing my body out right here, and then being a squirrel up at Mount Hood in Oregon for the afternoon, and maybe I don't hear a fucking voice in my head. I'm just trying to problem solve here, dude. I'm trying also not to give people bad advice. Like, some of the women in my life that I know that are TI, I've given them advice to get, like, medical lead caps. I haven't been able to afford it myself because of all this pressure on me and satanic set design, but it's a high molecular density material used for shielding. I thought it may help them.
Right, it makes sense.
Signal from what, maybe the satellite in their body itself, like that. For most people, like, we're so misled to think it's like chips in our body or like other things other than the satellite in your own biology. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, one thing that a lot of people don't understand about trying to block the technology is, and this is something that I learned, but when you're on remote neural monitoring, whoever's connected to you has a broadcast connected to you, like on you literally, and I've heard them call them little people, but when they're being more technical, they call it a monitor. And even if you're not on remote neural, like if you were a gang stalker and you're connected to somebody, you'll be able to have a monitor on them and they'll be able to have a monitor on you. So that's also the way that remote neural monitoring works. They like to put a monitor on you, and that's just a broadcast, and they can connect with the broadcast whenever they want to, and they can have their neural monitoring connected to your neural monitoring. And the symbolic thing that happens with that is you get a monitor of each other. So the problem with blocking it is that the broadcast is on you. So it's not like it's coming to you, it's already on you. So you may be able to block it, but I think just the signal of the existing broadcast. It gets confusing because the broadcast is a signal, but at the same time, it seems like it's a physical thing, and then there's the signal coming to it, but it's got to be a signal in itself. But lead is what they use for like X-ray room walls and stuff like that. I don't think any of the other stuff works, but if you could encase yourself into a lead room, it could perhaps block the whole broadcast in general. And who knows, if you can shake it one time, then maybe they'd have to reconnect and find out your location and reconnect, which probably wouldn't be that difficult for these gang stalkers. They already know where you're at and where you live. But it's just something that we should look into. And another thing that I think is very important. I mean, we know the neural monitoring is online. We know that they're using the mind control headset as the main device that they use, and they don't have these intricate technological weapons that they carry around like people think. But I think a huge part of our success is going to be figuring out different ways to expose the broadcast, because we know the broadcast is present, and if somebody's talking to you, then they're connected to you and their broadcast is going to be coming to you. But there's got to be some sort of photograph equipment, and maybe some kind of infrared or spectroscopy or some kind of technology that's available to be able to see the broadcast. So I'm not sure what that would be or how expensive that would be. I looked into full spectrum photography, which is beyond the visible spectrums of light, which is infrared and X-ray and stuff like that, or ultraviolet. But a full spectrum camera could be up to like $20,000. So that's not really that feasible, but it's just some things that we should look into. Spectroscopy was something that I looked into, and that's what they use to map out when they take pictures of the galaxy. They use that to see the different spectrums and to map out certain things when they do photographs of the galaxy. So that's a technology that could be useful also. And I tried to get a program for it, but it was a command line program, and I couldn't get it to upload right. I did get one called GIMP, G-I-M-P, and it's a command line program also. I found those, I believe, on GitHub, and you have to install them through the command line, and they don't have an install package where you can click download this. You have to install them through the command line, and that's something that is, I believe, is intentionally that way, because they don't want the better programs getting out to just anybody. Somebody that has to be very good with computers and stuff like that to be able to even think about starting to use these programs. But the thing is that they're all free, and so the more we learn, the better off we are, because remote neural monitoring is online, and it is a broadcast that is it is present, and it is in our photos and everything else. We just have to figure out how to expose it better.
Yeah, the detection with high pixelated, in my limited language of that technology, I heard some advice on that earlier in the last couple of months, and some of them are definitely part of the problem. I've given that advice out, at least in my limited correspondence with like law enforcement. Like, they talk about those cops having those body cameras nowadays. Like, they need to be able to detect who's an EMF fucking perp. And while you're at it, get me and Kevin one of those too. Like, I don't know, from a nut house. Like, shit is so weird, man. I mean, they're deceiving so many Americans, and I'm smart, like a smart guy like you. Like, I've had like fucking skinwalkers, like two-dimensional humans and shit, like over the last 3 years, psychological operations. Like, I'm pretty sure I fucked an EMF perpetrator that I couldn't tell wasn't the real person in front of me. Like, they keep trying to either make my roommate, if you were to deceive them, Satan or Jesus, and it's an EMF perpetrator. That's it. Somebody getting paid $35 an hour to ruin my life. And, they can press a button, make me nauseous when I'm walking out in the community. Like, it's hell.
Right.
And it's been 15 years of this shit. My peers are, women beating their heads against walls in psych wards and men, and it's so hard to comprehend for other people, let alone other TI, that a lot of people that are TI don't even know that they're TI. I think it's only mental illness, like I did for so many years.
Right. Well, then you have a lot of people that are on remote neuromonitoring that don't even realize it because they haven't experienced artificial telepathy or been attacked. So they're just being connected to and receiving a broadcast. The gang stalkers are live streaming their life and they don't even know it. You mentioned $35, but with my experience with these people, I don't think that there's some entity that pays them a certain amount or anything else. And you hear a lot about, they get a certain amount of gift card if they do this to you or that to you. But I think the reality of it is that they're addicted to mind control and they like to gang stalk people, and they can use it for any purpose they want. And a lot of them have figured out a way to create an income off of this by doing live streams to basically sell a show. They're doing a show, and a lot of times people will say, well, it sounds like they're narrating my life or announcing, or doing some kind of show, and that's the live stream, and that's what they're doing. With as far as making money, it kind of depends on how interesting their show is and how interesting the targeted person is. So if you got somebody that's gone berserk and they're seeing the broadcast and they can hear all this stuff and they're running around wrecking their own life and the police are involved and the police are coming to your house and everything's happening, and then they definitely want to have that live stream going on because they can make a lot of money off of that kind of stuff.
It's been like that in some ways for sure, and at the same time I'm trying to keep disclosing about this shit. We were all new to gang stalking, it felt like 3 years ago in 2016. Like, I'm on Twitter writing a fucking memoir, dude, and all of a sudden black unmarked fucking helicopters are flying over my apartment, man. And then I got skinwalkers impersonating my roommate and like spraying fucking like what they say are like nanos set to kill or some shit. Like federal fucking FBI agents impersonated. Like, I almost died a couple of times. Like they were really trying to do this whole false god thing with me. I hope exposing all this stuff makes sure that their tricks never work again. I mean, it's outright Satanism. Like,
yeah.
We should really keep up these conversations. Talking about just these last 3 years is probably worth some camera time, particularly for other TI. But
right,
yeah, street theater is what is some of the working language for other TI, the stuff that we figure out in community. That shit's been intense for me. Like, you've given some advice to some TI, like don't isolate, but that's like how I survived. Like there was a time that I was homeless for a while when I was getting exterminated, and like by appearance fucking Vegas signs were like talking to me when I was in Nevada. Shit got weird, dude.
Yeah. I came out of my bedroom one day and there's these two big old police officers standing there in my room right here, the room outside of my bedroom. So, but they weren't real, they were broadcast. So, and I seen them from 10 feet away, and I was like, whoa, But then I already knew what was going on. So after about 2 seconds, I started laughing. I was like, yeah, that was a pretty funny one. Y'all are pretty good because when you get any kind of close to these broadcasts, they become more transparent. The closer you get, about 20 feet out. Sometimes you can see them in the right circumstances. Like, it's hard to tell if they're a real person or not. But I've seen a broadcast come up to my window and then go through my window and then like fireman slide down my curtain and then run across my room. And that's the kind of thing that they can do. Also, I've disclosed this before. I have a green laser, and I think I actually finally broke it. But the green laser will grab a hold of their broadcast, and they can't. It's over with. It sticks them and then you can move it around, and it takes about 30 seconds, and it'll start flickering out. And a few years back when I figured that out, that's how I figured out that the broadcast casts a shadow, because I grabbed this guy's broadcast in my backyard, and when I moved the laser, it dragged the broadcast with the laser, and I was like, wow. And I could see my back light was shining, and I could see it making the shadow from when I was dragging him. So I was like, okay, so that's how I learned that they can cast shadows through experience. That's how I learned that the laser can grab them. And then when you leave the laser on it for about 30 seconds, it flickers out and it actually kills the broadcast, and they have to rebroadcast a new one.
Wow, dude, that's cool. I'm glad you figured that shit out. Like, stuff like that, we got to continue to share information. For people that are going to be EMF raped, N52 level magnets and medical tape can deter the rape, take the pleasure out of it. And like we've discussed, lead clothing, like you can get that shit from x-ray outlets, like lead rooms. I've totally thought about it. And it's like, where the fuck was Johnny Law this whole time, Kev? They're in cahoots with like the fusion centers and shit, man. We're getting covertly exterminated. This is like a slow kill.
Well,
it's not like a slow kill. It is a slow kill.
It is exactly what it is. And the gang stalkers are exposed to broadcasts as well, but not like they do us. They attack our organs and our bodies as fun, But I think the police that have to deal with this kind of thing, for the most part, police are normal people. I'm sure there's some that know about it, but I think that police.
There's a lot of good cops. There really are. But they need to know about this deceptive shit. They got to be able to see this with their eyes.
Right. They need to know about it. They need to know about it. But like when I talk to a detective, what are they going to do about enforcing it? Because you'd have to rewrite the entire judicial system, because people that are going through this have been tortured, and then there's all of these privacy issues, and then attacks and attempted murders and everything else. So there's a lot going on. And there's a lot going on with all of that, and they'd have to really look into rewriting the whole system. So they're not even close to ready to approach this issue.
People are dying every day and getting hurt. You're doing a wonderful job. Like, keep up the documentation and keep giving out advice, like magnets for the digital dark age chastity belt, fucking lead clothes or lead rooms for your suit of armor, and let's keep these good people alive and getting more truth out there. Like, I'm so glad you're using the word propaganda to describe some of this stuff that we're all getting thrown at, and it's so deceptive. They make us believe it.
Right. Well, we need to start really cataloging what works and what happens and what doesn't work, and especially for like shielding and stuff like that. I know one girl that's she's a scientist in Florida, I believe, and she's working on something about shielding, and I haven't spoke to her lately, but we need to figure out if something works, and not like if something works that the gang stalkers quit doing it because they love to see us with a magnet helmet on or something like that, but something that we can agree over time. Everybody who's tried this has had relief, and this works. So, we have to start figuring that out. But still, the ultimate goal is to gain the neural monitoring, just like these gang stalkers have. And that's the only way we can truly turn them off and control our own settings. And that's really the only way to go about a for real proper solution.
Well, let's get the headgear, or at least think about it, or at least find out where the website is. Like, I've barely dabbled in the dark web so far, but this documentation, I can't emphasize like how good this is for humanity. Like, people need to know about this. 15 years and my perps never stopped. War crimes, like, it's hard to describe to normal people happening around me. Like, I tried to go to college like a fall or two ago. The whole place was like perpetrated, like the campus, and it's been real intense. So let's keep these discussions going on. Like, this is Lord of Illusions, Luciferian agenda, Satanism. Like, at core, it's deception. Like, these people torturing men and women across America want to convince them that somehow they're Christian angels at the same time. Like, Howard Circles trying to convince me in all the hills, bro, the nut house here, you know, like it's the same kind of people that would get involved in human trafficking like this. So I don't
Right.
have all the answers, man, but you're doing an amazing job, and keep up the good work, and let's keep in touch.
I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate you coming on. So I hope
Yeah.
you come back again. Everybody, Tim from Oregon.
Love you, Ti. All that stuff, like good advice, and lessemf.com. You can get EMF readers on your phone or an instrumentation and buy like sample metal packages to see what kind of shit they're hitting with you in particular, and then test it in your room to stay adaptive to these perpetrators that need to be tried. It's not just war crimes. This is crimes against creation. This is not just crimes against humanity. This is crimes against God and every single one of us. It's not only Kevin and I that are doing this to. Anyways, peace out, man. All the best. Georgia is well represented by you during these troubled times.
And Oregon by you. I appreciate you, man.
Peace.
All right. Yeah.